My name's Rhapsody, welcome back to Disco Elysium. Alright, anyone, we got one skill point available here. Nothing I really want to send that on at the moment. Help soon with the project, so go to the ice cream, got it. You promised to help soon with her project before the Ravers can move in, fair enough. Determine where the shot came from, Boardwalk and Island. We checked Land's End. Boardwalk is in Martinez proper. Island. Oh. Here? But the whirling in rags, like, window is here. Like, surely it can't have come from this island. That can't actually be what they mean, right? Look at that angle. I mean, I guess they probably drew these buildings in isometric. So you probably can't rely on the exact relation between different things. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough then. All right, so damaged ledger. Apparently we have a medium logic thing to do in the damaged ledger. Why don't we do that? We've got logic. We're mad logical right now. That farm piper. Actually, I have the farm piper one. I'm just missing out on my logic glasses. There we are. So where the glasses of the auditor interact with the ledger. Finished with Titus. All right, let's read the case files. Yes! At last, you find a way to piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. HDB41. Date of initialization followed by the time of arrival on the scene, followed by the title. For example, HDB 411-20117:00, the next world's mural. Well, Harriet Dubois, right? Wait, HDB 41? Weren't those officer precinct? Why, yes, your precinct number is 41. And HDB? Every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it, and they are your files. It's safe to say that HDB are your initials. Harriet Dubois, HDB. The next world mural, the unsolvable case, the square bullet hole murders, the couch in an unexpected location, murder at the hookah parlor. Let's go for the next world mural first. This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight, on 1202, a graffito, nay, a mural appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of the failed real estate development called Grand Couronne. Cause of failure, rent too high. The mural is enormous. Two silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their forms reads, "True love is possible, only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class." People call it that thing and that fucking thing. It's visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaint desk gets clogged with the requests to remove the bummer. You and your partner are assigned to the case. The graffito crew is relatively easy to track down. Only the belles lettres have the litrage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the next world mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown. Wait. Do I ever find out who came up with it? The case files do not show you finding the author of the design. Read on. The crew agrees to clean up afterwards. However, your partner JV, don't know that name yet, is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Jamrock, ending in a rare plebiscite, organized by you and the rest of Row 3. The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villalobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rumbling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between the two options, remove the mural, it's wrong, keep the mural, is right. Well, okay, the mural is enormous. It's on an 8-story tenement overlooking Central Jamrock. The mural is enormous. It's a man and a woman, they're kissing. It says, "True love is possible, only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class." How do you interpret that? What are people bummed out about with respect to it? It's saying that true love is possible only in the next world. Next world is probably referring to like either the world after revolution or more likely the afterlife. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class. So it might just be the perspective that I'm bringing to it, but I read that as like almost apocalyptic, kind of like the next generation won't have the ability to concern themselves with those kinds of things. Now that's probably just because that's something that's on the mind recently. I can't imagine why. Wreak havoc on the middle class. So that also depends, like, who's saying it, right? Obviously, like, no one thinks themselves the villain in their own story, right? So writing that, you write that with the phrasing of wreak havoc on the middle class. You write that to draw attention, surely, to havoc being wrought upon the middle class, rather than to advocate for, because no one advocates for something by saying wreak havoc. Like, no one says, all right, well, it's time to feed every child. We're gonna wreak havoc on global poverty and hunger, right? No one does that, right? So I'm assuming it's like lower up. So I'm assuming we'll talk about the fact that one of the Gravitos is apparently rich in a bit. But I'm assuming that it's more like the state of the world as we currently live in it is not going to be a good world for the next generation, for new people. And if we do take the interpretation of the next world being the world after revolution, then wreak havoc on the middle class is an instigating thing, especially if it's coming from a class lower than that, lower middle class, lower class. And it would be, right? Because it's in Grand Couronne, it's in Jamrock, right? You'd assume, at least. Again, could be anything. But it seems more like an instigation of uprising. That's how it reads to me, right? To me, it reads effectively as, this can't last, so do something to stop it. That fucking thing. Am I missing something important about it, though? This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Graffito, a mural, part of the failed real estate development. True love is possible only in the next one. So, the mural is enormous. Two silhouettes are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, only the bell letters have the lettrage of industrial paint to cover the surface. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the next world mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown. Okay. Crew agrees to clean it up. There's public support for conservation. This leads to a debate. Well, I mean, public support for conservation of an artistic piece that has, I might just be attributing more room for interpretation to the piece than there actually is. And there might be like an obvious kind of answer of, this is what it means. This is what it obviously means. This is obviously the direction from which it came. But it being a provocative art piece, I think that's fair to say, like a provocative art piece, I don't really think that, it being a provocative art piece that public support for conservation exists for, I don't think there's really any path for me to take it down. Keep the mural, it's right. A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority, and that love truly is possible in the next world, for new people. And it's too late for us. All it remains is to wreak havoc on the middle class. The middle class are not to be blamed, it's human nature. I like it, but can't we wreak havoc on other oh god, sometimes there's just like the option choices like this that are effectively like, okay, I'm gonna fit myself into this world, I'm gonna fit myself into ultra-moralist, fascist, communist, or liberal. Right, that's effectively the choices that they're giving me here. And the annoying thing is, like, there'll be two kind of reasonable ones. One that's pragmatic, but not something that brings about justice. And then there'll be one that's like, what if we just killed immigrants? Like, the third, like, the fascistic one is always such a stick in the mud. It stands out like a sore thumb. It's like, ugh. I must have vetoed and even possibly lobbied to remove that thing because I don't believe in that rubbish one bit. All that remains is to wreak havoc on the middle class. But the thing is, like, the middle class, like, they benefit from the system as it currently exists, but they didn't set up the architecture for the system as it currently exists. And while they're invested in the current way that things exist, they're invested in this societal paradigm. That doesn't necessarily mean that they cannot be dissuaded or that they hold as much responsibility as the upper class. So to say, like, the problems here for me are the choices are all that remains is to wreak havoc on the middle class, which I don't really want to say that. Then the middle class are not to be blamed, it's human nature. I also don't really want to say that either, right? To remove responsibility of people for the part that they play in an oppressive system lets a lot of people off the hook, and I don't necessarily think that that's what we want to do. Also, like, appealing to, shitty things that people do to other people, intentionally or not, but appealing to those as human nature is something that is commonly used as a much further right talking point. The kind of greed is good, actually, world. I like it, but can't we recap? Obviously not that one, and I must have vetoed and even possibly lobbied. Obviously not that one. I think the only one here that I can say is the first option, and I don't like the wording of it. It's less that I don't even like the wording of it. It's like the sentiment of it needs nuance. I mean, it also needs a nuance of defining middle class in this society, right? Because as we think of middle class, the idea that each of us have in our head of middle class is obviously going to be different, right? Like, there's no, is the green that you see the green that I see too, right? We can use the same words, but we will both have different connotations invoked in our heads when we think of things like the term middle class. But the term middle class has changed and means different things at different points in time and different locations. Like, here, middle class refers to the people in, like, locked off neighborhoods, like gated neighborhoods. That would probably somewhere be considered the upper middle class. To some people, that would be considered the complete upper class, right? And obviously, over time, those positions change. Like, if median household income continues to drop past a certain point, then you can't fairly call the people that you previously called middle class if the concentration of wealth is continually going upwards and their share is going downwards. Otherwise, you're just redefining middle class at that point. It becomes an unworkable definition. Literally the least abhorrent to me is the first option here, though, so I had to say it. In any case, it appears to have been a rare case of civil activity in the quarter. And agreement as well. What do you want to tackle next? The Unsolvable Case, aka Leslie and Burke, aka the Public Indecency Drunk, aka, sorry, not aka, and the Property Damage Drunk is a cursed case. It's been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29th, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in Jamrock, know it's unsolvable. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It's in their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man. You can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals passes, and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rearview mirrors, would be for them to stop drinking alcohol. Which, in their 40s, or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability on par with you ceasing to produce the expression. I will cease to produce the expression. Couldn't we just keep them off the streets? I don't want to say that. So, public nuisance. I think that's what I'll fairly define each of them as, right? Like, obviously, flashing strangers and property damage, as long as it doesn't, rise to the point of dangerous property damage. That's kind of like public nuisance, broadly. Consistently doing it with no boundaries, effectively. Like, how do you disincentivize these actions? I don't think you disincentivize it by locking them up. I think it's fair to say that these are, mental health problems, addiction problems, those kinds of things. You don't want to, criminalize people based on that. Like, in the real world, both of these people would probably be court-ordered by a judge to appear in a certain amount of Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. And then failing that, may be remanded to custody. I don't like the implication of, couldn't we just keep them off the streets, being, sure, just lock them up. Like, they're not conforming to society, lock them up. They are suffering. They're making other people suffer as a result as well. Do not get me wrong. I understand that they are a public nuisance, but they're clearly suffering also. I'm going to proceed. Threatening fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get the local gang of Zemliakis to take them out. The Zemliakis gave them ethanol so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all, and still the complaints won't stop. And they haven't stopped for 10 years. It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and the Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-references to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street. Because there they are, on the corner of Petition. And what is Leslie doing? Leslie is publicly indecent. Public indecency. Good, you're learning. If the files are to be trusted, that's all there is to it. That and Burke breaking things. And the fact that they're both drunk. But then again, so are you. The case becomes considerably less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your ledger. He must have confused it with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. You're drunk out of your mind on potent Pilsner. You slam the hardened plastic board into his face, then you proceed to beat him unconscious with it. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartments within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who at this point is tending to Burke. He came at us, and at us. I thought he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeable compartment is open. You smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is, Burke can't walk anymore. Can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genitals to Burke, who knows? But both drunks are off the street. The complaints stop and the unsolvable case is solved. Which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one? I'm glad that they didn't make us try and propose a solution to that one, because how do you solve a problem like that? Like, there's a reason it's called the unsolvable case, and I'm very glad that I didn't have to be like, well, I guess I'm just gonna break the legs of one of them, because no! What? Are you insane? The square bullet hole murders. It would be a very it would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry wound in the victim's forehead. She's been sitting there for weeks on her rocking chair with a square hole in her skull, staring at the wall, her mouth agape. But that's all you got. From the half hour you spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You never found the bullet. And then another body showed up, also with a square hole in his forehead. A sequence killer, who knows? Those pages are missing. What's next? Don't worry. One day. Is that a sequel? Is that a DLC? Or am I actually going to get to involve myself in that case? One day you may still catch the man with the square gun. The couch in an unexpected location. Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it. In the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway, you know, in an unexpected location. They were young and they thought they looked cool on it. I mean, in the middle of the street, don't. But the rest of them, hell yeah, you look cool as hell. They looked really cool, like a rock band. Yes. As you've said here, insufferable rock and roll assholes. Young people are the worst. So anyway, you've got to complain about that damn sofa, or couch, or whatever it was. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations they took it to, where they also took photos of themselves on it, and smoked cigarettes, and drank coffee because they felt it intellectual. Cigarette butts, coffee cups, stupid couch. You had to clean it all up, and you did, so congratulations to you. Case solved. Did I ever catch those guys? No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you've got what's called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch assholes. You have a real job to do. What's next? Murder at the hookah parlor. Murder, dum dum dum, at the hookah parlor was originally a case assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead. Ooh, wait a second. Okay, my partner I think was JV, not JM. Just making certain. Who is now dead, of circumstances completely unconnected to the murder at the hookah parlor. Wait, how? Beaten to death by a throng of Villalobos gang members when he and his partner JM, who's... What? Joseph Mills. And his partner JM. So 2 JMs, got it. Only initials mentioned, answered a call one night. It's a sad story when it isn't really represented in your case files. Stop stalling and get on to the murder at the hookah parlor. Right, on with murder. Joseph Mills was on this case and he just couldn't solve it. Was doing it solo. Said it was a real nutcracker, real brain twister. Was on it for like a month. And then the captain got impatient. Shit'll get off of that pot. Mills. Mills didn't get off the pot. Not yet. He kept at it for a couple weeks more, racking his brains, running with every theory, as outlandish as they seemed. Still couldn't solve the murder at the hookah parlor. Toughest case, he said. Toughest he's ever had. Wait, was Joseph Mills a good cop? No, he was awful. Awful sense of humor, too. The worst jokes you've ever heard of. Really rapey. Still, had been on it for months now. Said it was the final case. Said it was uncrackable. That the murderer vanished into thin air. That goddamn hookah parlor was all he talked about. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere. And you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. You know, those places where you go to smoke bubblegum flavored vapor all day. Can you get high off of it? No, it's soot and water vapor. It doesn't really do anything. Cool. Yeah, really lame. What? What do you mean? I said really cool. Not really lame. There's hookah bars around in Sydney. I've never been to one, but people seem to enjoy them. Just do it. I don't care. Some people throw axes at bullseyes on the wall. Some people play marbles in, playgrounds. Some people just inhale some bubblegum flavored vapor. I don't care. Do what you want. Do what you like. Do what makes you happy. Not hurting anyone else. It's not really lame. Also, don't say that. So anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open, right on the floor of the hookah parlor. In the middle of the day. No one else is there. Only client that day. In perfect health too. Some kind of movie producer. No one enters, no one exits. He's just sucking on the watermelon hookah all morning, all noon, just like he regularly does. He's regular. No calls, nothing. Just sucking on the hookah until 15:45, so 3:45. Then bam, he's dead on the floor with his skull busted open, blood everywhere. What happened? How can it be? Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin, movie deal gone sour, girl at the counter did it, nothing fits. Eerie. Man just dropped dead. So you go to the parlor. You see cushions around the table. Table's low, heavy, real sharp edge. Skull busted open. Yeah, I mean, you can bust your own skull open with a like fallen. Table's low. I mean, so if you're I don't know how, I don't know the mechanism by which it occurs, but I know that back in high school, there was a group of kids who figured out that if you breathe in and breathe out really, really quickly, hyperventilate, and then try and stand up, like do that for a minute and then, don't do this by the way, but if you do that for a minute and then try and stand up, you'll just pass out. And you'll come back around like in a couple seconds afterwards. So, table's low. He's quite low to the ground. Could have done exactly that. Been kind of hyperventilating through the hookah, kind of. Stood up, passed out, hit his head on the table and died. So yeah. See? You can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your oxygen supply to your brain and you don't notice until you get up to go to the bathroom. Yeah, okay, that makes a bunch of sense because like hyperventilating would do that to you. But so would ingesting something other than oxygen as you're breathing in. And you don't notice until you get up to go to the bathroom. He must have sucked a lot of it. What was he doing there for 6 hours? Smoking hookah. Didn't you hear? I don't know. Trying to come up with a movie script, maybe? Anyway, that was the murder of the hookah parlor. Joseph Mills wasn't a very good detective, and about 30 minutes has passed piecing it together. I'm gonna look at that again to see if there's anything different for saying the other line here at the very end. Must have sucked a lot of it. Yay, liked the hookah. Stephen was his name. Can I revisit this? Beautiful. Read a case file and then put it away. Browse the case files again, just in case. Neat. So having a look at these has actually really helped me there. Felled Mural. Ooh, okay, that's reopened, but I haven't actually increased my level in Shivers recently. So that just means that something I've done has given Felled Mural ability to reroll at this point. So that's interesting. There's also a mirror back in the Fisherman's Shack. We should go there on the way. A net composure and pile of clothes composure. Yeah. Let's just try and cover these as we walk back. Now, someone has said that Joyce isn't actually in that location anymore. She's down here, by the way. But someone has said that I need to talk to Joyce. I think after I solve this stuff, I can easily talk to Joyce. Like, I think the current ordering of things should be fine. Okay. I'm not actually going to enter the room, but I just want to see. The door is closed for today. Time to put the kids to sleep. Beautiful. Every one of those little bubbles I check is 1 experience point, so I'm just missing out experience points if I don't do that. It's getting cold this late in the night. Time to call it a day. Good night, Kim. Send him away for the night. Good night, officer. We'll meet in the morning. We'll meet in front of the shack in the morning. Enter the shack. Let's have a look at the expression, see if we can do anything about it. Level up, see if we can do anything about it again. Hand about the band OO. Okay. Is anything increasing or decreasing? I don't think I have anything that increases or decreases my encyclopedia. Could be wrong though. Hand-eye coordination. I'm just looking for the ones that are uncommon. Okay. Pretty sure I don't have anything lowering my encyclopedia in my hands right now. And it's not the damaged ledger that increases it. No, it doesn't. Okay. Well, let's try and memory. Dig deep into your mind to locate the source of the expression. Dang it. Like the rest of you, it comes from a bad place somewhere in the past. That's all you know for now. Ooh, using a thermodynamic expanded condenser cycle. Nice. Do it again. Got him. It belongs in the new, the third decade of the current century. Enough time has passed from the failure of the revolution that, for a fleeting moment, free market economy seemed like the ultimate, uncontested way of life for our species. Things were good. It was smooth sailing. People made gold and champagne-tinted interiors and facades to suit the times, calling this the new style. But more importantly, disco happened. Forget about ostentatious orchestrations. For Revachol, your city, that meant only one thing. Guillaume le Mignon. If it doesn't rhyme, you're not pronouncing it right. Thank you. Guillaume le Mignon. Guillaume le Mignon. Does that rhyme? Mignon? Guillaume Mignon? Super. Out of the dazzling swirl of disco music in the open air, bonne nuit, bonne de nuit, bois de nuit, I think. French is hard, friends. Somewhere in Revachol West, Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. He sang some bullshit. Then he made the expression. I feel like I need to add a clicking sound when I make it. How long ago was the new? Anything else? I kind of want to go through all of these, but I'm going to start at the top. So I adopted it? Why? Everyone loved it. Maybe you thought some of the stardust would rub off on you? Maybe it did. Either way, it's all gone now. Only the grimace remains. I feel like I need to make a clicking noise when I make it. The click is used to spur on a horse. It also features heavily in Guillaume le Mignon regional mega hit, Don't Worry, parenthetical, Your Pretty Little Head. Sometimes, you like to add finger pistols to the mix, because unlike Guillaume le Mignon, you are a police officer. It's your nifty little way to say, I'm armed and dangerous. I mean, like, yeah, the expression, the clicks, the finger, yeah, I can see it. It's very evocative personality. How long ago was the new? There is a vast ocean of time between right now and the expression looking good on you. Or anyone. 2 decades, if the calendar is to be trusted. Humanity has run aground in that time. It's a different world now. The expression is a relic. Anything else? Like who I am? Why did I become a cop? Why did I drink myself to oblivion? You have some understanding of the near history of disco, plus the trivia you picked up along the way. Episodic memory, however, remains in the dark. It may never return. You should prepare yourself for that. Does this have anything to do with ostentatious orchestrations? Not really. Oh, just stirred your mind. They're more of a disco rock band anyway. Guess that's it then. It doesn't have to be. You can swoon over Guillaume and his champagne-corked smile whenever you want to. Maybe some of the stardust will return. So I know the origin, so I've got a little bit of an extra chance for that. But it's impossible. So, like, even with a +3 to this and 1 in electrochemistry from my own skill, I'm still bad at it. So I'm gonna see if I can actually even increase my ability with that by putting on Electrochemistry Kit. So I have nothing decreasing my electrochemistry, but I have a couple things that would increase it. Put on some gloves. I think there's a shirt that'll do it as well. Put on that jacket. Those pants, my other pants also do electrochemistry, so it's fine. Okay, so even with all of that on, still very low, 3%. So I never really had a chance on that one yet. Like, I am gonna need, is it shivers? Electrochemistry. I'm gonna need a fair bit of electrochemistry. Okay. Guillaume le Mignon. Whatever happened to Guillaume le Mignon? Who with his amber mane and sparkling teeth, beguiled the tattered remains of a nation. While you suffered and suffered, did he dematerialize in a cloud of cocaine dust? Or did he simply stand in the corner and melt into the slendering new lines of some starlit again, same word, bois de nuit, 20 years ago? Spare a thought for his great ass, too. Wait, maybe he became a police officer in Revachol West. So I do want that, but I don't have the ability to do it at the moment. I do like apricot chewing gum scented one. I like almost all of these now. I also like the plus 20% zoom out distance of White Morning. Encyclopedia. See, if the encyclopedia passives giving you plus 10 experience and plus 2 real is like really good. I have a lot of them. I mean, it feels like I could probably get rid of Homosexual Underground at this point because I don't think it'll do anything more. Date of birth generator. My learning cap of logic was already really high. -1 difficulty to fizz passives. I mean, that's pretty good. I don't hit those fizz passives commonly myself. Was shaving the right call? Alright. Well, we've got some roaming to do at night anyway. What's still going to be open this time of night? Ooh, hello. Still watching the waves, I guess.
The waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards.
Alright, so we have found a good spot on the coast, apparently. Let's change our clothes to be as composed as possible. It was composure, right? Pretty sure it was composure. I don't think I actually have clothes that increase my composure, but I do have the finger guns that'll do it. Oh, hang on. That's some composure. Yeah, that does look like all the composure I have.
The waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards.
Oh, wait, it's suggestion, not composure. Whoops. All right. Well, let's see if we have any suggestion. I'm also pretty sure we don't have much of that, though. Drama, Inland Empire, perception, interfacing. I need to make a list of the things that I actually have the ability to influence, because doing this constantly it's not good.
The waves are beginning to die down.
17?
Look at those little bastards. Simmer down, bastards.
Yeah. Hey, Lillian. Dang it. Oh, yes, she does. You need to get your drunk on. There's no other way for human beings to procreate, not after 6,000 years of yeast cultivation-based mating materials. Rituals, rather. I like you, but I'm afraid to be around you, because you're a woman. I want to be close to you, and there's only one way to intimacy. Since the dawn of mankind, Al Ghul has watched over the reprocreation of our species. Lay with me. Let's celebrate the Ghoul. Alcohol makes closeness as possible. Let's connect. Well, considering, like, her husband was a drunk and died as a result? Oh, I don't want to say either of the last two. Oh, I don't like either of the first two either, though. I like you, but I'm afraid to be around you because you're a woman. What? I want to be close to you and there's only one way to intimacy? I feel like literally just because that has ... at the end, like something left unsaid, it'll be the one I take. She looks confused. What? Drunk date. Tap on your throat. All we need is booze. The rest will follow. Oh. Funny sailor jokes. She nods without smiling. Sorry if I'm not laughing out loud. The comedy is worn thin over the years. Great, now you're reminded of her husband. It's okay, she hasn't figured out how these things work between the sexes. Keep at it, she'll come around. What? What kind of line is that suggestion? Oof. I feel gross that my brain said that. Alright. Let's make our way back across the waterlock. Oh, we spent the entire time just reading past cases, apparently, because we're not even going to get to do the first thing I laid out I was about to do in this episode, but we'll get it done in the next episode. For the moment, my name has been Rhapsody. The name of the game has been Disco Elysium. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you next time.